Hey everyone, I'm here back in Korea for the next 2 weeks, excited to visit some places I haven't been to before, and I'm taking you all with me. It's lunchtime and I'm headed to Gwangjang Market. Believe it or not, I never visited when I was living in Korea, and now that I'm here, I've made it my first stop. I'm staying in the Chungmuro area, so it was a short walk to the entrance. Once you head inside, depending on the entrance, you're greeted by many clothing shops. Head to the center, and that's where the main action is: the food. As you might already know, it's a popular tourist destination, but I just couldn't believe how packed it was on a weekday. The sheer variety of food and stalls was quite overwhelming. All of the street foods you could possibly want, and I wanted to try them all. I even saw the famous kalguksu lady featured on Netflix, but that line was too long, and I was focused on getting the dishes that this market is known for. Nokdujeon, aka Nokdu Bindaetteok, which is a mung bean pancake, and Yukae, which is Korea's version of beef tartare. I picked this sit-down restaurant and got seated right away. I got one order of the Yukae and one order of the Nokdu Bindaetteok. The food came out pretty quickly, and I just love Korean restaurants that pump out one or two specialties that they do so well. And let me tell you, this ain't your grandma's bindaetteok. It is basically deep fried in oil, and it is thick. I took one bite and oh man, it was crispy and very satisfying. Definitely a huge portion though. Next up was Yukae, lean raw beef that tasted clean and fresh. The sweetness from the julienne Korean pears worked perfectly with the soy sauce marinade and the creamy egg yolk. Honestly, the portion was too big for one person, so I offered some to the cute grannies next to me and they were so delighted. Full disclosure, before taking me to my Airbnb in the morning, my aunt had brought me delicious home-cooked fried chicken and candied sweet potatoes called matang. So I was already working with a pretty full tummy. Needless to say, I worked up a nice food coma and started to head back to my Airbnb, but not before grabbing a cup of shikhae, which is a sweet rice drink. Turns out it was a pretty bad idea to get shikhae on a cold day, but it was still delicious. And thank goodness this Airbnb was nice and toasty when I got back. I love the floor heating system in Korea. By the way, I loved this Airbnb, so message me if you want the link. I had this kind of studio space during my first year living in Korea. Being here definitely made me nostalgic and missed the simplicity of a tiny home. If you like or don't mind small spaces, I highly recommend it. It was also situated in a very convenient location. After adequately warming up inside, I bundled up again and headed out to the Hongdae area to meet a friend for dinner. This restaurant specializes in Jeju black pork, which is a type of pig that is native to Jeju Island. Pork and chicken in Korea is just far superior than what we have in the States. Super juicy and full of flavor. And I picked this barbecue restaurant because they cook their meat on coals. Just look at those juicy pieces getting completely infused in smoke. Ugh, I have really missed this. Finally, the moment of truth, building my first bite. I grabbed a piece of Korean lettuce, a piece of pork dipped in ssamjang, which is a spicy soybean paste, then some raw garlic, and some shredded green onions. Then, the perfect bite. Pure heaven, and you can tell I love something when I start dancing. For the next bite, I wanted to taste the pork on its own with a bit of wasabi. Damn, that smokiness. Wow. It was a perfect way to end the first day in Korea, and I enjoyed the cozy bus ride back to my Airbnb. Even if it takes longer, I always prefer taking the bus over the subway in Seoul. The next morning, I headed up north to Samcheongdong and Bukchon Hanok Village, where you can still see the beautiful traditional Hanok buildings. I've been here many times before, and I do miss the days when the streets were more packed with vendors. But it was still wonderful to see the preserved buildings, and you can even rent traditional clothing called hanbok and stroll around the village if you choose. I decided to stop by the popular Cafe Onion located nearby. It was built in the traditional Hanok style, which is the main draw of this place, I think. As soon as you walk through the gate, it feels like an oasis shielding you from the big tall city buildings of modern Seoul. They had such a variety of pastries here, and they were all huge, probably meant to be shared. I was really tempted to try something savory, but my stomach said no, especially if I was going to survive the non-stop eating that I planned to do. So I grabbed this giant scone because I can't resist anything with matcha on it and headed for the counter to order my drink. These days, my go-to drink is a matcha latte, but I just had to try the coffee here. I decided to get the cappuccino with Oatly. It's a trip finding oat milk at a lot of cafes. Back when I was living in Korea, I couldn't even get soy milk. The coffee was delicious and so nice on a cold day. And the scone was not too sweet, just the way I like it. And moist on the inside. Nothing special though, but I really enjoyed the ambiance and it was a great way to start the day. By the way, a quick reminder to follow me on Instagram to see live stories while I'm traveling. The next trip will be Italy and Paris. The next stop was Insadong, as I made my way south. I have always enjoyed coming here even though it's touristy. There's so many cute shops that sell wonderful souvenirs, both traditional and quirky, and the main attraction is Samjigil. It's a 4-story building filled with unique shops that wrap around the courtyard all the way to the rooftop, where you can even try the famous poop bread. I wasn't planning on getting anything, but this shop caught my eye and I wandered in to find out that you can make your own plexiglass carving that lights up with an LED strip below. It was just 38,000 won and I highly recommend it for anyone who's artsy or crafty. You can choose any image you like or pick from their templates. I chose my forever muse Mimi, my dog, and it turned out great. Here it is in the dark for the full effect. By the time I was done, I was able to enjoy the sun setting on the rooftop before heading down for dinner. Just a little south from Insadong, I made my way to a revolving sushi restaurant called Gaten Sushi, then waited to be seated at the counter. They provided green tea powder with a hot water dispenser at the table, just like Japan, which made me so happy since I miss Japan so much. I ordered miso soup as I waited to grab my first plate, which was squid with lemon. It was good, but you can tell I'm already looking for my next plate. This one was yellowtail with ankimo. It was really good, but before I could even process it, I'm looking for my next plate again. There we go, finally enjoying it. Of course I had to pair it with some hot sake, and you can tell just how cold Korea is from the look of that steam. Okay, I keep accidentally reaching for the most expensive yellow colored plates, but it just looked better. This was a sea bass, I believe, but with a surprise. That's right, it was truffle oil, and it was good. I grabbed some more of the cheaper plates before becoming too full to even eat the rice at the end. To digest, I took a scenic walk home by the Cheonggyecheon, which is a stream almost 7 miles long, created as a part of an urban renewal project. In the summertime, people gather here to hang out and enjoy ice cream. But in the dead of winter, it's pretty empty. But I was still so glad that I could visit, and of course, I just had to cross the stream using the rocks. The next day, I made my way to Coffee Duck in Hongdae. I was so relieved to get some shelter from the freezing wind and sip on some delicious royal milk tea with oat milk. Not too sweet. Whenever you hear that from an Asian person, consider that a high compliment. And once again, I was so delighted that they had oat milk. I enjoyed the rest of my drink and braved the cold once more to meet my friend at one of the many ramen shops nearby. I was eager to try the tsukemen here at Kyo Ramen. And they even had the vending ordering system, like in Japan. I also love that they provided hair ties for those with longer hair. So thoughtful.
I like this place. Have you been here before?
No, I've been trying to, but it's like this every time.
The tsukemen broth was wonderfully fishy and full of umami, while the noodles were so chewy in the best way. Yum! I then took my French friend to a French bakery to share a pastry. I think she approved. No matter how full you are in Korea, there's always room for dessert. We got this lemon pastry and it was good. Again, not too sweet. I was still feeling so full when my friend picked me up for dinner, but I was on a mission to eat at Myorangjin Fish Market for the first time, a bucket list item. As soon as you enter the building, the smell of fish sort of overwhelms you, but the place was incredibly clean, so not to worry. Our main objective was to find the best priced king crab and some other goodies. Originally, I wanted to try a lot of different things, but because I was still so full from ramen, I had to keep it simple. We quickly went around to get the lay of the land and inquire about the prices at multiple vendors. Every vendor pretty much had the same items, so it was quite difficult to settle on one place. We ended up returning to the vendor that quoted the lowest price on king crab. We quickly realized we needed the smallest crab for just the two of us. We also got some razor clams and he threw in some small scallops for free. Korean vendors often do this. Then everything got put into a black plastic bag, and out of nowhere, a man came to grab it as we followed him to the corresponding restaurant. We had no clue if this was a good restaurant, but they had a bunch of celebrity autographs in the front, which I guess is a good thing. One last thing before chowing down. I really wanted yellowtail, but no vendor wanted to sell us a small portion until my friend convinced this lady. It was finally time to taste everything. First up, yellowtail sashimi. I had it Japanese style first, dipped in soy sauce and wasabi. Of course, it was delicious. Can't go wrong with fresh yellowtail. Then had it Korean style, wrapping it in lettuce with samjang and garlic. That was good too. There I go dancing again. Good food just makes me so happy. Next up was the shellfish. Now, in retrospect, we should have asked for these grilled, but we had no idea since they didn't give us the option when we dropped off the food. Ugh, So much regret because it could have been one of the tastiest things, but because they had boiled it, it was rubbery and lacking in flavor. Okay, enough regret. Moving on to the main event, king crab. Our friend was much bigger than we first realized, and we ended up with a lot of tamale thanks to its giant body. It was so full of umami, and normally I would have gotten some rice to mix together, but I just didn't have the real estate in my stomach for that. So we moved on to the legs. It was full of meat and came off the shell so easily. And wow, those suckers were so soft and full of flavor. These were from Russia, so I'd be curious to find out how they differ from other king crabs. And unfortunately, one king crab between two short girls was just too much food, and I was so grateful that my friend was excited to take the leftovers home. Also, pro tip, please bring your own butter and lemon. They do not provide. With our bellies full, we ended the night driving to Hangang or the Han River to take in the views of the city. In the summers, the river gets packed with picnickers, and you can even get food delivered there. But it was freaking cold, so we didn't stay long. Thanks for watching till the end. Subscribe and stay tuned for part 2 of the Korea vlog series coming soon.